15 seconds, that's all you get. A rack of shells behind your seat is starting to sweat in the heat, and in 15 seconds, this steel box stops being a tank and becomes a bomb. Your hands are on a hatch that won't move. Someone outside is screaming your name. You're trying. God, you're trying. This happened in some version to thousands of young men in the summer of 1944. By the end of this video, you'll understand why, and why one flooded steel box at the bottom of the English Channel changed everything after it. But first, what did you climb into? The M4 Sherman was never built to win a slugging match. American engineers wanted something fast, reliable, cheap enough to mass produce. Over 49,000 were built. The plan wasn't survive one hit. It was outnumber them so badly, it doesn't matter. That plan failed constantly in the hedgerows of Normandy. Here's what almost nobody explains properly. You didn't catch fire because gasoline is flammable. You caught fire because of where they put the ammunition. At shoulder height, in thin sponson racks behind barely an inch and a half of armor, sit up to 100 main gun rounds. A German gunner doesn't need to hit you. Just graze that rack. You're not being shot at, you're being detonated. Post-war U.S. Army studies found a troublingly high share of penetrated Shermans went up in flames within seconds. Crews called it brewing up, flat office memo language for the worst moment of a man's life. So why do most people know this tank by one nickname, Ronson, after the lighter company that bragged it lights every time? Here's the twist. Historians combing wartime letters and veteran interviews can't find that name used in 1944. It surfaces decades later. What crews actually called it at the time in German ranks was Tommy Koker. Either way, the fire was real. Feel it from inside. The shell hits. Your skeleton rings like a bell, then light where light shouldn't be, then smoke so total that men lost their sense of up and down within seconds. And here's the detail few mention. The turret can jam the driver's hatches shut from inside its own machinery if it's sitting even slightly off-center when the shell hits. Men sealed in by the geometry of the machine meant to save them. You'd think that's the worst version of this story. It isn't, because at least those men were on land. June 6, 1944, to get armor onto the beaches ahead of the infantry, engineers built the duplex drive Sherman, a swimming tank wrapped in a canvas flotation screen. Brilliant on paper, brutal in the actual swell of the channel that morning. Off Omaha Beach, most of 1 battalion's DD tanks launched too far out and sank fast. Full crews sealed inside. Now, picture it. Not fire, water, rising in total darkness. You can't force the hatch early. The pressure outside is too strong. You wait, submerged, until the pressure inside finally matches outside. Only then does it give. Some made it out that way. Many didn't. Fire above, water below. Either way, the machine wasn't built to let you leave it. So the Army fixed it, and the fix was almost insultingly simple, which is why it worked. Ammunition moved out of the exposed sponsons and down into the hull floor, sealed in steel boxes packed with water glycol mix. Crews called it wet stowage. The myth was that the liquid smothered flames like an extinguisher. It didn't really. The fix worked because the bomb simply wasn't sitting next to your shoulder anymore. Add bigger hatches, add brutal repetitive bailout drills. The numbers shifted. Around 4,300 American Shermans were destroyed in Western Europe, yet crew loss of life rates stayed lower than the tank's fearsome reputation suggests. Survival came down to a rehearsed sequence burned into muscle memory. Hatch, push, out, down, move. But muscle memory only saves you if there's somewhere to go. That's the real story, not a coffin with a funny nickname, a flawed, hurried wartime design, and thousands of ordinary men who learned, drill by drill, how to survive its mistakes while those mistakes were still killing people. That lesson didn't die with the war. Climb onto a modern M1 Abrams and you'll find the same idea over the crew compartment. Blowout panels built into the roof of the ammo bay, so if the worst happens, the force goes up and out, not through the men. That's a Sherman crew's worst 15 seconds, still saving lives 80 years later. So next time someone calls this tank a coffin, tell them about the hatch that wouldn't move and the men who kept moving anyway.